Once you have your tomatoes selected as far as what determinate or indeterminate tomato varieties you would like to grow, now comes the fun part. At the Cooperative Extension Service, we're going to talk about some tips to help you be more successful at home with tomato production, so that way that you can have this nice juicy tomato with less blemishes. So once you get your tomatoes, definitely the first tip we would want to tell you is to go ahead and plant that tomato pretty deeply. So with our determinate type of tomatoes, you would want to go up to the first true leaves. So today we have a tomato bag that you can actually grow 4 containers if you want to take a look at that. This is really deep, so it makes it very ideal for growing determinate type of tomatoes. So again, whenever you put this in, and I have this stuffed with newspaper just to kind of show how it would be filled with soil once you actually place the growing medium inside the bag, and then you'll just go ahead and plant that right up to the first true leaves. So, and that way that again promotes a deep root system, so that way that plant can obtain all the nutrients that it needs for that plant, so that you can get those nice juicy tomatoes. Now, once you've planted them deep, next we need to talk about watering those tomatoes. Usually with the blights and things that we have that affect tomatoes, usually the best time to water is in the morning between the hours of 6 a.m. and 10 a.m. So whenever you're watering, make sure that you target that water right around the base of that root system. You can use a water hose, or if you have a little bit of money that you don't mind to spend, drip irrigation works really good. And again, it targets that water stream right at the root system, so it can take it up and make it go through the xylem and the phloem tissues to make it to the plant. So whenever you're watering, try to avoid hitting the foliage, because again, that will promote more blighting issues that occur later on in the growing season, and we hate to have that blight come in. So just make sure when you water in the morning, and make sure you target that water stream right at the base of that root system. Now, a couple of things I want to talk about is if you have a water gauge, this is great for also measuring how much water is available for that particular week or that growing season. Really, most tomato plants need about 1 inch of rainfall a week, so you can put out a rain gauge to know if you're getting that at least 1 inch of rainfall a week. If you don't receive that amount, you would want to go ahead and make sure you supplement that with, again, your water hose, your gardening can, or your drip irrigation system. So definitely invest in a simple and very inexpensive water gauge. Now, once you've planted them deep and you've watered them really well, next we're going to talk about mulching. Mulching is a great practice. It basically serves 3 basic principles. For one, it's going to keep that root system and that soil moisture intact around that plant, so that way you don't have the blossom end rot that occurs. Blossom end rot is a calcium deficiency that's also related back to not having the available water that the plant needs. So whenever it's actually developing, it develops more of a gray, kind of darker spot on that blossom end of the plant. So that's what we call calcium deficiency, which is also known as blossom end rot. So it's really good to make sure you use some sort of mulch. Not only does that mulch help it look attractive, but it also helps reduce the amount of weeds. So a couple of examples of organic mulch. I have newspaper here, so a lot of people read the newspaper, and so this would be a great type of organic mulch that would rot down and also return nutrients back into the soil. Usually what you're looking for there is about 3 inches all the way around the plant. If you're utilizing newspaper like we have today, you would definitely want to go ahead and probably soak this before you apply it around your tomato plants. If you don't want to use newspaper, there are other organic mulches available. You can check out clean straw. You can maybe use leaves that have fallen off the trees in the fall if you stockpiled some of those, or you can even use grass clippings from your yard. And again, grass clippings, you probably want to be very careful if you've applied any kind of herbicides around your lawn, because that will also go into your plants and create herbicide injury. So make sure you use a mulch, and make sure that you provide plenty of inch depth on it. Usually about 3 inches is what we're looking for. Now, sadly enough, if you're watering deeply and you're also using some mulch as best you can, you need to make sure that you support and train those tomatoes off the ground. So a couple of examples that we have, most of the time people will look at a caging type system. So ones that you buy at the home garden centers or even other garden supply stores, they carry a round, kind of a smaller type of cage. That's really not one that you would want to recommend, because it just doesn't, when the plant gets a lot larger, it doesn't provide enough support for all the fruit that's coming onto the plant as you go along. So what we're really looking for is a cage system that's really heavy duty, and it's also got plenty of space for you to actually reach in your hand and harvest that fruit from the plant very easily. So we've got plenty of openings. It's also metal, and so that again is better than kind of some wood products that you find of caging type systems, because again, we have a lot of blight with tomatoes, so it's really easy to sanitize at the end of the growing season. So definitely make sure it's plenty tall to support whatever type of tomato you're growing, and most of the tomatoes that we have are indeterminate types, so they can get really, really tall in size. So really what you want to do is try to put that cage in the ground at least 12 inches or a foot, and then provide enough support for the top growth, which can get 6 feet tall if you're talking about indeterminate type tomatoes. So definitely make sure you train and support those plants off the ground. And then we also at the Cooperative Extension Service have a lot of spray guide information for you all as home gardeners to help reduce the amount of blight that you might be seeing according to the environment that we're experiencing here in Kentucky. Really, blight is favored by the environmental conditions, and so really that's wet and humid temperatures that we have, and it's really where that foliage stays really, really wet for an extended period of time. So we have that spray guide information that I just talked about that would be very beneficial for you all to know as far as when's the best time to apply those products. We have fungicides which help with disease control, which those blights are more disease related. So we have fungicide sprays. You can either use a ready to use spray that has a nice spray nozzle on it, so that way you can apply it to the actual tomato plant, or if you want something that's got a little bit more higher concentration and it's going to last a lot longer for you, you might want to look to an option like a concentrated form of a fungicide. So most of the time we recommend copper sprays or some chlorothalonil or some mancozeb according to the time that you actually have your tomatoes that are actually growing. So make sure you contact us here at the Warren County Cooperative Extension Service for more information on spray guides. And again, my name is Kristin Hildabrand, Horticulture Extension Agent for Warren County, and we want to wish you all a happy gardening season. Thank you.